Hi, it's Esther. Welcome to Module 2, Lesson 1. There are only 2 lessons in this module, but they are important ones. This lesson is about rights and responsibilities of Canadian citizenship. And I 100% guarantee that there will be questions about rights and responsibilities on your citizenship test. The guide tells us that you must demonstrate knowledge of Canada and that you understand the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. So if there's a lesson that you're going to repeat, this is the one. So it's important to know that rights and responsibilities are different things, but both come from our history and are protected in our laws. Rights and responsibilities also reflect what we believe in as Canadian people. So let's start with rights first. Let's talk about Canadian law for a minute. Our laws come from several different places. Some laws are our own, made in Canada and passed by our Parliament. Some laws come from both English common law and the French Civil Code of Law, and others still come from an unwritten constitution that we have inherited. There are 2 key documents where we find our rights as Canadians: the Magna Carta, signed in England in 1215, and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Let's look at the Magna Carta first. It is also known as the Great Charter of Freedoms. Here are some of the rights we have from this document. You can follow on page 8 of your Discover Canada guide. Freedom of conscience and religion. We are free as Canadians to believe what we want and practice any religion we want. The second is freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of speech and of the press. This is quite important. We are free to express our opinions even if they go against the government. We can write these opinions in our newspapers, on the internet, and other media. We do not have the right to spread hateful speech against groups of people or religions. The third freedom is the freedom of peaceful assembly. Assembly is a way of saying meeting together. So any group of people, no matter what they believe, can come together peacefully under the law. One of the last freedoms is freedom of association. Association means participating in a group. So really, this right is more about that we can be members of groups or political organizations or have friends or business partners that we choose. Another right we have has a Latin name, habeas corpus. This is from English common law. This law gives us the right to challenge the state or the government if we have been put in prison unfairly. Now we will talk about rights that come to us through the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Canadian Constitution was amended. Amended means changed or updated. So the Constitution was updated in 1982 to add the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Here's a picture of Queen Elizabeth II signing this change. Some additional rights Canadians have as part of the Charter are mobility rights. Canadians can live and work anywhere they choose in Canada, enter and leave the country freely, and apply for a passport. Another right is Aboriginal rights. Aboriginals were the people in Canada before the European people came. The rights in the Charter will not have negative effects on any treaty rights, and treaty means land agreements between Aboriginal groups and the government. And the Charter should not have negative effects on other Aboriginal rights or freedoms. Another right is official language rights and minority language educational rights. French and English have equal status in Parliament. Just so we are clear, Parliament is the place where politicians meet to make laws and govern the country. The Parliament of Canada is in Ottawa. French and English have equal status in other areas of government too. If you listen to the Prime Minister speak, he always makes sure to deliver messages in both English and French. Multiculturalism is the last right on this list. The guide says Canadians celebrate the gift of one another's presence and we work to respect pluralism. This really means that Canadian people work hard to respect each other and get along together even when we have many different religions and cultures in one place. On the top of page 9, we see another important right Canadians have. That is the equality of women and men under the law. Violence towards women, such as forcing someone to marry or killing a daughter for marrying someone not approved by the family, hitting a wife or a husband, or altering a young girl's private parts are all serious crimes in Canada. Now we will move into the responsibilities part of rights and responsibilities. Another way to think of the responsibilities of a citizen is by saying, as a Canadian, I should. And our first responsibility is obey the law. The rule of law is very important to Canadians. Individuals and government are regulated by laws and not arbitrary actions. Arbitrary actions are when a person or a leader or a group makes their own decisions based on their own interests without consideration of the law or rules. For example, a dictator is a leader that makes arbitrary decisions. In Canada, no person or group is above the law. This includes political leaders and people with lots of money. If our Prime Minister commits a crime, he will be punished under the law. The second responsibility is to take responsibility for oneself and one's family. This means getting a job and taking care of your family to the best of your ability. Working to the best of your ability means doing your best at what you do or what you're trained to do. This is important for your personal well-being and self-respect, but this is also how you contribute to Canada. The third responsibility is serving on a jury. First, let's talk about the word jury. A jury is a body of people, typically 12 in number, sworn to give a verdict in a legal case on the basis of evidence submitted to them in court. So serving on a jury in Canada means when you are asked to be part of a jury, it's not a choice. You must legally appear for this duty. Another responsibility is voting in elections. So voting is really both a right and a responsibility. This is a good place to remember the phrase, as a Canadian, I should. Vote in elections. There are federal, provincial, and local elections where you have a chance to vote as a citizen. Another responsibility is helping others in the community. Millions of Canadians volunteer. Volunteering is helping others without getting paid for the work. You can help at your child's school, a food bank, or a charity, or helping new immigrants settle in Canada. Volunteering is a great way to get new skills, get some Canadian experience, and make friends and contacts to help with your life in Canada. The last responsibility is protecting and enjoying our heritage and environment. All citizens have responsibility to avoid waste and pollution. This helps protect our nature, culture, and buildings and physical environments for our children. At the bottom of page 9, we see the words Defending Canada. It is not mandatory to participate in military service in Canada. Still, serving in the regular Canadian forces, like the Navy, the Army, or the Air Force, is a great career choice for many. You can get experience, training, make new friends, and make contacts. It's also a great way to contribute and serve Canada. You can also serve and protect your community by joining the Coast Guard or other emergency services like police or firefighting, as many Canadians before you have done in service to Canada. I hope by reviewing the rights and responsibilities of Canadian citizenship in this lesson, you're starting to make more of a connection to why you want to become a Canadian citizen. Really, it's a privilege to be a part of what makes Canada such a great place to live. On one hand, you have rights that protect you, your family, and your community. And on the other hand, you have some responsibilities that help make Canada a great home for all of us. See you in Lesson 2.